It's my favorite time of the year again, Skill-Cap's Christmas special, where I, Hector, the low elo content elf, comes to give you the best tips for climbing in your rank. Now hold on a second there, Santa only shares his secrets with the good summoners who've kept their honor intact all year. If you've been naughty in solo queue and gotten yourself muted or more, click off this video, otherwise I will personally come and smurf in your games. Now typically at Skill-Capped, we try to teach you the long-term, disciplined way of climbing League. Recall timing here, wave control, push out waves, blah blah blah, boring. Screw all of that, it is the holiday season, it's time to get lazy. I'm going to be giving you the desperate, Ozempic type of tips to get you where you want to be as quickly as possible. All of these tips are easy to do, you just have to watch the video and you can apply them for easier games, guaranteed. So if you can stomach some of my Christmas jokes because my assignment for the week was just be funny bro, then you're gonna hear 4 very easy to apply tips, as well as the secret champion that I think is the best solo queue champion in the game. This pick has been overpowered for years, and I'm gonna tell you the secret of why no one plays it. Now at most Christmas celebrations, obviously there's usually a big family gathering. Aunts, uncles, cousins, mi abuelo, but there's always a group you're personally most excited to see, right? And in this case, that's you mid laners, you're my favorites. So this first tip is mostly for you. It's no secret that Doran's shield and second wind is the most disgusting defensive combo in the game. In fact, even challenger players can't beat it most of the time. This is what always happens. The Orianna is winning early, it looks good, but then between level 3 and 4, something magically happens where you suddenly find yourself out of mana and you're just randomly losing now. In fact, let me show you a ridiculous example. Here in this high elo game, I'm playing Naafiri versus a Blaze Olive. If you don't know who that is, he is always a challenger player. He is genuinely really good. Meanwhile, I'm rusty as hell. I'm just playing some Naafiri trying to woof it up for some fun. Not only that, but he got first blood and he came into lane with an extra amp tome. I never got to base, so I started level 1 at half health. Which one of us do you think won this early lane? Of course I did. He couldn't even lane. A player so much better than me with an overwhelming advantage couldn't even force me to use my potion before he went This setup is as broken as I was working retail during the holidays. There's just so much Mariah Carey you can take before you want to just, you know? Especially, and you know what? Especially when Last Christmas is the much better song. Anyway, let me tell you how to beat this broken combo. Most people already know that D-Shield and Second Wind heal based off of your missing HP. So if you're lower on health, you heal more. And if you didn't already know that, then you really need to know that. That's why everyone, including challengers, gets baited by this combo. They think they're winning early game, but they're really not. They're just kind of pushing you low enough to where the sustain is just almost infinite at that point. But what most people don't know is exactly how Doran's regen works. This item does not heal your missing HP. It simply heals you up to 45 health based on your missing HP. This heal does not scale. Basically, at level 1, it's as strong as it's ever going to get. So the counter to D-Shield is really simple. If we compare it to the other Doran's items, their stats scale even as the game goes on. Ability power and attack damage are pretty useful all the time, right? Meanwhile, all of this regen is relatively useless after like level 7. D-Shield definitely scales the worst out of all of the starter items. As a mid laner, you're told you need to use your range advantage to poke the melee out of lane, deny them CS, and shut them down. Honestly, I think that's pretty outdated advice. Think about it, the enemy mid laner is budgeting a ton of gold and runes into stuff that's only useful during the first few levels. The counter is actually really simple once you know that. Just like I sit there doing nothing while my mom cooks up a feast, that's how you counter D-Shield. You do nothing. Okay, honestly, writing that line made me feel so bad. I'm gonna help this year. I will at least help with the tamales. Look, if your lane opponent is playing a really lame setup, you should as well. Just go full scaling and use your range to go even in lane. Don't go aggressive and try to shut them down, it just isn't worth the effort. Why are you stressing yourself out when your lane opponent can literally drool on their keyboards and beat you? I just don't think it's worth the effort. Just by going even early in the laning phase, you're honestly winning. It is okay to do nothing until you have like level 7 and Lost Chapter, and then you can start playing aggressive. By that point, the regen is relatively useless and you can actually start playing to win the lane. Also, do me a favor while you write to Santa that you want an 8 sleep pod this year. Also make sure to write to Riot and tell them to fix this so skill actually matters in mid lane again. Thanks. While getting this item nerfed would be an amazing gift, the best thing you could ever give me is simply a sub to the channel. If this is the video that sends us over 1 million subs, I would be forced to make this every single year. Anyway, speaking of OP items like Doran's Shield, there's another overpowered item that most challengers are abusing lately that most low-elo players are not yet aware of. Hubris might be the best item in the game right now, and it's probably not going to get nerfed anytime soon. Hubris and Darksteel tend to be really misunderstood by the player base. These are not snowball or smurfing items. These are usually just really cost-efficient stat items. Hubris in particular is actually better the lower elo you're playing in. That's because kill counts are higher in low elo and games go on for longer, which makes it so that you can rack up a ton of Hubris stacks in a really long game. So to be honest, it's almost always going to be insanely strong in elos from iron to silver, almost regardless of what patch you're playing on. But the fact that challenger players are rushing this on every champion that they can, even Smolder by the way, should be a good indication of how broken it is right now. This is mostly because in 1419, when every other item got massive nerfs, Hubris got away with this. I don't know how it barely got touched. So now it's just a really good stat stick compared to every other nerfed item. Look, solo queue is stupid and chaotic and kills are everywhere regardless of what elo you're playing in. You should buy Hubris when you're ahead and snowballing, you can buy it when you're even in the game, and honestly, you can even buy it when you're behind. Until it gets nerfed, just buy it. Every jungler that can should rush it as their first item, every lethality ADC should rush it of course, and mid laners, sadly mid laners can't really rush it, but you can definitely buy it second after your first score item. Okay kids, did you enjoy all of the tips you got in your stocking? You actually missed something, look, it's at the bottom. That's right, it's a little ward trick. This is the coolest tip I learned all year. I legitimately use it every single game. You know how you can ping enemy wards? Well, if you have a trinket on you, you just need a normal cast bind for it and then you hover it over the marked area. This outer circle tells you exactly how much vision that ward is giving your opponents. This takes all of the guesswork out of whether you can sneak into an area or not, which is really nice. It's especially nice because when people have wards down, they tend to have a false sense of security. So if you can avoid vision this way and sneak up on them, it's way more likely you're gonna get a kill. By the way, is that stalking thing real? Do people really have custom named ones and then you stuff them with candy or gifts? Like that has to be fake, right? Next you'll tell me that reindeer actually exists. Let's get real for a second here. Okay, next tip. A really common mistake a lot of lower elo players make in bad matchups is not trading back when you're being attacked. I don't have to tell you taking damage for free is not ideal. So the advice people give is that, hey, fight back. Even if you lose the trade, you'll at least put some pressure on your opponent so they don't just completely run you over. While that advice is not bad, it's not always the correct call. You see, during Christmas dinner when my aunt asked me the yearly, when are you getting married? Sometimes it's better to tank that for free than to fight back and say, well, when are you getting undivorced? It's the same thing in League. Sometimes fighting back is actually not worth it in the long run. Let's say you're in a bad matchup and your opponent hits you. They've now aggroed every minion in the lane, which is going to make their wave push into you faster. But when you fight back with them, you're canceling out their push because you also draw minion aggro. So in the short term, it does look kind of good because you traded back, but if you're thinking ahead, the wave is staying in the middle for longer, giving your opponent more time to pressure you. What I personally started doing in bad matchups is looking for timings where I can walk up and bait my opponent to hit me for free. This is usually best to do when they can only auto attack you once for a little bit of damage. Don't lose all of your HP trying to do this, obviously. Literally, taking 1 or 2 trades like this will make the wave push so much faster into you, which will eventually let you farm safely at your tower. Then when the wave crashes, you turn it into a bounce back slow push, and from there you can potentially crash and nullify the bad matchup that you're in. Honestly, I've been using this very often in bad matchups, especially at level 1 when a lane can feel really bad. Okay, time for the moment everyone skipped to after browsing the YouTube chapters. Look, S tier champions come and go. Victor and Warwick are the big cheese right now, but in a month they're not going to be remembered. We can do better. And no, I don't mean Z tier champions. If I have to see one more league tier list using Z, I'm going to lose my mind. This champion pushes beyond regular tier lists. Beyond S is sipping on hot cocoa under a blanket on a chilly night tier. We're going even higher than that. I'm not even talking about Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, a heartwarming banger of a movie tier. You know, that's actually where I play Swain. He's also pretty OP and you should be playing him. We're going even further beyond. I'm talking Christmas break is ending and you're dreading going back to school tomorrow, but it snows the night before, extending the vacation for 2 days. That is the tier that we're on, and that is how broken this champion is. It's Kennen. Kennen has been broken for years and years, but no one complains because everyone is building him wrong. Kennen is not a lane bully. I repeat, he is not a lane bully. He can be, but that is not why you should be picking him. Kennen is a mid to late game monster that can wipe teams instantly if you just build him for that, and it takes negative skill to do when you can just slam your keyboard and win. High elo players and pros have baited Kennens for years into taking terrible laning runes where you go stuff like Scorch to harass people, and then they also think that Zhonya's is a good item on Kennen. Stop going Zhonya's so early. Look at this extremely fed Kennen. Zhonya's is such a useless item if you don't kill anyone. He had a perfect play, but he did no damage. Oh wait, you can go into stasis, and then when you come out, you throw a little shuriken that does nothing. Nice, what a great item. Imagine if he just had death cap and real runes and everyone here would have just died. Do not do one of these rune pages with 0 scaling. It is so bad. Go absolute focus and gathering storm every game. Then I don't care what else you run. Kennen has like 50 rune choices. All that matters is that you go for a scaling setup. And these are your 3 build paths. Versus a lot of squishies, you go Pen obviously. Versus tankier comps, you can go Liandry's. And if the enemy team is full of super high range champions, which is rare but can happen, you can go Rocket Belt first item. Then after your first 3 core items, then you can go Zhonya's. Also, unless you're a challenger laner, stop starting Doran's Blade. It's just not worth the effort. Just go Doran's Ring and play a normal laning phase. You are not good enough to start Doran's Blade and harass your opponent. Honestly, I'm not either. It's just not worth the effort. Trust me, if you do this at level 11, once you have like 2 items, you are going to feel like a god and you will understand why I think this champion is beyond broken. Alright, that's the end of this Christmas special. I don't have a final joke for you to cringe to. I hope you have a merry, well, happy holiday. See you next time.